Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what is happening to this stock. Absolutely just blasting into the outer space today on an absolutely phenomenal, just over 4% rally on the stock. So yeah, I'll give you my thoughts moving forward. I'll give you what I personally think. And again, the best part is I currently hold no position in NVIDIA, so I have no bias to the bullish or to the bearish side. I just simply tell you what I honestly think. And again, I have absolutely no bias here. Whether it goes up or whether it goes down is completely irrelevant to me personally. So with that being said, let's talk about it. I'll give you my thoughts. If you enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my analysis, my membership section on YouTube is live. For just $3 a month, you get access to all my thoughts, posts, updates on Tesla, and sometimes other stocks as well. Or for $5 a month, you get access to all of that, but plus NVIDIA daily updates as well. But jumping into it, NVIDIA closing the day just above 4%, closing at almost $144 per share, which is going to be a fresh all-time high. And not just an all-time high, a close in all-time high, which is pretty bullish, I will admit. Now, we mentioned this on Friday, right? We talked about how we had that inside day candle, and essentially a break above or below that range most likely means a continuation up in that direction. Now, I didn't think it'll be a 4% continuation, I'll be honest, but we did break that range. We did break above it, which I ended up telling my members about. I didn't enter it personally because again, I'm just not interested in trading NVIDIA up here personally. That's just my trading style. Everyone has their own. I prefer to buy weakness. I'm not really a buyer on strength. I'm more of a buyer on weakness. I like to buy a weakness. I don't know. Maybe I'm a masochist. But nonetheless, we broke the high of the inside day candle on Friday. And I mentioned on Friday as well, if we break that above, we at the very least come back up to retesting all-time highs. In this case, we obviously went even higher. Great news, right? So this is obviously really, really bullish. Now, pretty much the way you look at NVIDIA moving forward is, well, it's, not that difficult, but we are, of course, entering uncharted territory. Like we have literally no targets above us, right? We have no levels to play with, nothing to dictate past performance, right? If we zoom out as far as we possibly can, there's just nothing to mention, right? We are literally at all-time highs here. So the way you want to look at it is this. NVIDIA, very, very crucial that it doesn't drop below 140, let's just say, about 140, right? Very, very important, right? Even as low as maybe 139.5. It pretty much needs to hold that level. As long as NVIDIA holds that level and pretty much doesn't go below that, I think it's looking pretty bullish. In fact, it is looking extremely bullish. Like, I know it might sound weird, and if I was a bear, I would definitely not want to be hearing this because, it is still extremely overbought, right? It is still very, very overcrowded. But again, removing all emotion, all bias aside, you can't look at this kind of close today and not think it's at least somewhat bullish. Now, again, if we do lose 140, or like maybe even if you want to put some, leniency on at 139, this will get pretty bearish pretty quickly. I think I will view this as a massive false breakout, and I would expect a snapshot back in the opposite direction. But that's a big if. That's a massive if. Like if it does happen, very bearish in my opinion. But again, it's a big if. I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I don't assume it's going to happen. I only assume it's going to happen if I literally see it happen, because those things don't happen super often, but when they do, they're pretty violent in the opposite direction, is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, as long as it holds that level, very, very bullish, I think NVIDIA will only go higher. Now, the question is, how much higher can it go? Well, that's going to be the hard thing to say. Honestly, just strictly off of the increments it's been performing so far, it's been pretty much moving up in about $5 increments, right? From this 130 to 135 to 140. I would expect the next test to be about 145 followed by 150. Those are probably the next two levels I'll be looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and draw horizontal levels somewhere around these general levels, because again, the stock has been essentially moving up in about $5 increments. So let's just put those levels there for now. We'll see how it respects those or not. But again, there's just not much to go off of, because unless you do an extended Fibonacci, I forgot what they're called. Where is it? Trend-based? No, I forgot what it is. There's a Fibonacci specifically that's an extension essentially, where it gives you like targets on these kind of breakouts. I just never use them because stocks aren't usually doing these kind of things, at least recently. Anyways, nonetheless, watch for those levels in my opinion. Again, if history is any indicator for NVIDIA, it seems to enjoy moving in these rough $5 increments. That's what it has been doing for the most part. So 145 to 150 are probably the next two levels to watch out for as resistance. And again, the major support is going to stand somewhere around that 140, 139.5, 141, like that $2-ish range, right? Watch for that. Now, again, also, I want to make it very clear, the stock is still very, very overbought. I want to keep saying it until it's no longer the case, right? It is what it is. I have indicators specifically meant for overbought levels. And like I said many times, overbought doesn't mean it's bearish. It just means that it's getting very heated. Now, when it stays overbought, it can, especially like a stock like NVIDIA, it can stay overbought for a while and that momentum really gets going. But at some point with these kind of stocks, you know, kind of like what it did back here, you know, it just stayed overbought for a very long time. But at some point that music finished, and what did it do? It took like 2 weeks worth of gains and lost it all in 3 days, 15% drawdown in just 3 days. Like at some point the music will stop. At some point this will happen, right? It is what it is. Like it's not just only going to go up. But it's not showing any signs of it, right? It's not obviously not showing any signs of it. So I'm not going to expect it to happen until obviously I see signs of it. And it's not really showing signs after a move like today. But again, I just want to make it clear. Stayed overbought very, very long time over here. Massive, massive. And this was also essentially it going into, you know, fresh all-time highs back here. But music stopped. And again, like pretty much 2 weeks worth of gains gone instantly, right? So just watch out for that, right? The music will stop. Make sure you have a chair, essentially, when the music stops is, I guess, the point of my message here. Not financial advice, just my opinion. But again, without it being overbought, you know, we are still seeing some bearish divergences, right? Again, as we're making fresh all-time, what am I doing? As we're doing fresh all-time highs, RSI is making a very obvious bearish divergence. Even the stochastic is making a slight bearish divergence. And even my stochastic down here, both stochastics are making a slight bearish divergence where, again, as the stock is making higher highs, the indicators are making lower highs. Bearish divergence. So at some point I do expect NVIDIA to cool off. Whether it'll be at 145 or 150, I don't know. But if it ever loses the all-time high level here that we just broke out of, which again is about that 140-ish range, that's when I expect the weakness to most likely begin. That's when I would expect the correction to probably start. And that's where I would expect it to come back down, probably to around the market bias, which is well below us. Which will be, again, depending on when it happens, let's say it happens within the next 2 weeks or something like that, which will be, honestly, it can still easily come back down to about the 130s to mid to high 120s. But I would expect that to happen at some point, maybe this red trend line, and retest that general area to ultimately just set a fresh higher low. And then we'll see how it, of course, responds from there. But as it stands right now, and I've said this many times, and I will continue saying this, NVIDIA, this is why I don't short it, despite me being, you know, not necessarily bearish, but not super bullish either, I will admit, right? I wasn't super bullish around here because there was a lot to prove. And it did prove it today. But, you know, I wasn't also bearish. I wasn't shorting it because, you know, this is a powerful stock. I wasn't seeing like bearish indicators. I just wasn't seeing very bullish indicators. But again, this is why I don't short because, you know, you don't want to be standing in front of a freight train like this, right? It's too high risk. Like if you're right and you time it perfectly, you'll make a lot of money. But most people won't, and it's extremely hard to do so, and it requires, in my opinion, some luck as well. But nonetheless, beautiful stock, looking phenomenal. Now, obviously, it is a little bit on the bearish side in terms of options flow, 10 million, almost 11 million confirmed bearish flow, which, you know, isn't too crazy for NVIDIA. Something to kind of maybe keep in the back of your mind, but nothing too crazy for NVIDIA. It is a little bit on the lower end, so keep that in mind. And if I go to Cheddar Flow over here with, by the way, option services, both of them, Black Box Cheddar Flow, link below with the discount code. Check it out. Very bullish. Here it's actually showing very bullish. Now, obviously, some of these can be closed naturally, but yeah, more bullish and bearish. Again, once the stock goes, this is pretty much the old Tesla. Once this thing starts going, the bullish flow is truly just, I don't even know where they get all this money from. I'll be completely honest. It feels like this money is just coming out of thin air on this stock sometimes. But the bullish flow is immaculate. It truly is, and it's always immaculate. It doesn't matter what the stock is doing. It feels like it always gets insane bullish flow. But yeah, looking good. Again, 145, 150 with support being around 140. So watch for those levels. Let's see what happens moving forward. I'm interested to see what happens moving forward, especially, you know, just watching from the sidelines. And I actually like AMD a little bit more here personally, because again, I like to buy on weakness. I'm a weakness buyer. I'm buying AMD on weakness here, and it's looking actually like it's ready to reverse. So if AMD is ready to reverse, could be a good sign for NVIDIA potentially. We'll see. But all that being said, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.